Welcome back. Today we're talking about the Paris Accord and about some of my thoughts on some of the speakers for both political sides that aren't what we might call mainstream. For that second section, I thought that Steven Crowder and Michael Moore might be good figureheads. Both hold sway over their viewership, but aren't really big political names like Bernie Sanders or Newt Gingrich. First off, though, we'll talk about President Trump withdrawing from the Paris Accord. From my own knowledge, the accord was said to be a continuation of an older agreement, some involving an India-US set of plans, which was supposed to take pressure off of India and their carbon emissions. Now, first off, there's something that we need to address. The Paris Accord is pretty unfair to America, without even looking at the effects, which can be disputed by people like Steven Crowder, saying that it would actually cause more deaths in third world countries because of the rising costs of power. Now, without even looking at that, we can simply look at the costs. I'm not really an extreme save every penny guy, but I can get behind something that cuts down costs, always having been a person that does try to save money for a rainy day. Now, America kind of foots the bill, even though China was one of the biggest countries involved in the Accords. America pays around double of what the next country, Japan, pays. Now, you may say, but America is richer than Japan and has more of a responsibility. Well, to that logic, I say China would actually have the most responsibility, as over 20% of their carbon emissions will be dealt with under the Paris Accord. To put that into perspective, about 17% of the United States emissions are dealt with under the deal. That, in my mind, would mean that China would be the ones to foot the bill, or even be a part of the payments. Anything? $1? Nope. Sadly, China has not announced 1 yuan to the deal, forcing the US to take part of their payment, around $3 billion. Japan has pledged $1.5 billion, the price is going significantly down from Britain's $1.2 billion. Basically, that just means that America is again footing the bill for an agreement that would raise prices of power on the poor and maybe, emphasis on the maybe, drop the temperature by around 1 degree in the long run. Of course, this isn't taking into account the Earth's natural drop of half a degree and the subsequent rise of a degree in the next century. Apparently, America just needs to control our carbon footprint and finally replace all of our production line workers with robots or something. Now, I'm not saying that the original goal of the Paris Accord was bad. Having things a bit cooler and caring about the environment is important. But there needs to be a way to do so without destroying the lowest and most impoverished nations. Countries without clean energy like Somalia are going to have to buy energy from America or Europe, and with our prices, how the hell is anyone going to be able to foot the bill over there? Not to mention how much we're footing the bill after all, and $3 billion from my perspective is quite a pretty penny we could spend, say, rebuilding our inner cities and helping our own impoverished people. Just a thought, but that's what we do here. I give my stupid and uneducated opinions, and you listen and tell me I'm wrong. So up next we have Steven Crowder and Michael Moore as political figureheads. First off, I will say that I'm about center-right in the political spectrum, as you've probably guessed, and yes, I've listened to Steven Crowder and laughed with him along with him on more than one occasion. Smartly, however, I've listened to Michael Moore and agreed with him once or twice as well. I always try to go into something skeptically, and having blind faith in a person or group causes quite a bit of bad shit, see World War II. If you don't know who either of these people are, Crowder is a conservative who, let's be honest, loves nothing more than to poke fun at the politically correct side of the table, berating people like Bill Nye and Hillary Clinton for their, quote, stupidity. Michael Moore? Well, honestly, he's just about the same. He's a very progressive man who has directed more than one documentary about upper-class America, painting Wall Street as a villainous hive of evil, and often speaking out against people who do not hold his opinion, much like Crowder. Now, to both of them and what they do, I say, good. We need people in the United States like them, specifically these two people. I picked them because of who they are and who they affect. While Michael Moore is, I would say, a fairly big name, and he can, yes, sometimes be assholish, but he does understand that the people on the other side of the argument are humans just like him, with their own problems and turmoil. Most famously giving a pretty fair review of then-candidate Donald Trump, before bashing him like normal. Now, back to Crowder, who I see in a similar light. Like Moore, they both believe that if they met with big-name conservatives or big-name liberals, they could manhandle them in debates, the key here being that they actually want debates. As I detailed in my last video, having an open dialogue is key to solving our country's problems, and many who hold most of the power in the country won't even consider the other side's point of view. While Crowder does indeed bash the loudest liberals for their stupidity, he often invites those liberals onto his show to give them a fair shot at him, which they more than often than not decline. It is people like this who we need to be figureheads of political movements, not Steve Shives and Karl Rove, who are so set in their ways it would be impossible to make them even hear you out. But even as we speak, the U.S. becomes more partisan. According to Rasmussen polling in a poll conducted March 31st, 2017, 57% of Americans feel that politics are becoming more and more partisan. Back in November, only 40% of Americans felt the same way. Similarly, in a Pew Research poll conducted June 22, 2016, 49% of Republicans were actually afraid of the Democratic Party, 55% of Democrats feeling the same way about their counterparts. As the country becomes more partisan, we need people who, however loud their bluster, will politically engage with their opponents. When 60% of Democrats feel frustrated when even hearing the word Republican, that is when open dialogue is needed most. But that's what I'm here for, open dialogue. Hey, welcome to the channel. Whether you're here to listen to me make a fool of myself talking about current events, or to write one of those nasty comments, I'm your guy. I feel that just having another voice in the conversation is necessary, as it always is. If I can help someone to learn something about a current event as basic as my videos are, then I'll go for it. I enjoy just talking about some of these things anyways, so it's good enough for me. Hopefully you halfway enjoy the shitty content and consider dropping a sub or a like. Perhaps comment on what type of bleach I should drink. All are welcome, dissenting opinions or otherwise. Have a nice day.